at the moment, James Hird hasn't got the job. Hello everyone, welcome to Eddie and Jimmy on this 1st of June. For a winter sport, we finally got to it. Halfway mark of the season. Once upon a time you played a couple of games, Jim, and you're into winter and all the grounds were muddy, which probably helped with the concussions back in those days, but that's another discussion for another day. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. Those muddy grounds helped me get around the field, slowed everyone down and brought them back to the pack for me.
Yeah, the good players play well in the wet, that's the thing, and you were more than a good player. Thanks to Fiji Airways, as the chill of winter hits, that's where you should be heading, to Fiji. They've got magnificent resorts from, as I jokingly say, from a thatched hut, and I say that because I actually did a thatched hut one time and with the kids and snorkeled and just had the best time, and the resorts, I can say I did that as well. And that was really good fun. That was great. So head to Fiji Airways and check them out, because there's been a massive rush. People realising it's going to be a bit harder going to America or even to Europe this year. Fiji Airways. However, if you want to go on to America, you can, from Fiji Airways, flying direct to Vancouver in Canada, to Honolulu if you want to get to Hawaii, and to LA and to San Francisco. Also, our great friends at Hyundai, and you can do big things in the new Alexio. Have you seen the Alexio?
It looks pretty schmick.
It's a good vehicle. Visit your local Hyundai dealer today. And as I said, Fiji Airways are our friends. What do you think of round? Was it round 12?
Round 12.
Round 12, we're already halfway past.
First of the bye rounds. Just before we get into that, I've got a couple of topics to raise with you.
Okay.
I did miss you last week. Heard he was a fantastic fill-in. Braden Sire, of course, fill-in.
Yes, exactly.
As well. Have you had a chance to reflect in the room of mirrors?
Oh, yeah.
That since your inspirational speech and in the change rooms, hugging Fly McRae, you've mozzed them?
No, I won. We beat Carlton.
You haven't gone great since.
No, we won the next two. What are you talking about?
Are you a jinx?
We won the next two.
Are you a jinx?
No, we won the next two, and then obviously it wore off.
Didn't the mood just change then?
Oh yeah, don't have a crack at me, mate. Serious business. No, been a bit stiff, the Pies, the last. Apart from the Geelong one, they've been a bit stiff, but there's a bit to be done there. We'll come back to them a little bit later on, because let's get into this. Freo. Speaking of Collingwood people, I was talking to big Mason Cox this morning. He's a pretty happy chappy at the moment.
He's going well as the backup ruck and forward there at the dock.
I think he's also enjoying today's newspaper, where the Jay Clark's column, where he has the likes and dislikes, and they were looking at Collingwood. Did they get it wrong, as we spoke about pre-season, or whenever we started our first show here, I had, and you backed me up on having concerns in letting Mason go, and also Brodie Myercheck from Collingwood. And my concern with when they changed the rules back in whenever it was, October, November, I actually rang Mason Cox and said, congratulations, you've got another 5 years, I reckon. If your body can stand up, it is just perfect for you. And I always believed that Collingwood's ruck, they'd start with Darcy Cameron. I think is a very good ruckman and great around the ground. But I always felt that they missed an opportunity by not starting with Mason in the first ruck for the first tap. Now, I would have loved to have seen Mason go up, hit the ball, hopefully to one of our blokes, go for it, and then push forward. And then let
be the centre bounce ruck, and then you swap over in general play.
And then he can be the forward line ruckman and let Cameron do everything else. So that was always in my mind, if I was sort of had a say in the coaching, which I don't. It is starting to come to pass, because Cameron is a very good player around the ground, but he's getting monstered in the centre bounces. And we lost the game, Collingwood, on the weekend by getting murdered in the first half in centre clearances, and nearly won the game by actually getting a few centre clearances in the last quarter.
Yeah, came home with a flurry and a great saving mark by Michael Selwood.
I do. It's always something to me. 7 feet, they don't grow on trees.
No.
So if you got one,
a 7-foot tree would be nice.
Yeah, use them. But anyway, he's now at Freo, celebrating his 11th consecutive win. Yeah. Tell me, we said here at the start, I think round 2, we said from memory, and I'll get Richard to pull this out at some stage, we'll go back to the time capsule, but we said then that Freo had the look of a premiership side, and we said that Essendon would finish last. Now, that's not being 3 cheers for us. That was pretty obvious, and it's manifesting itself right now.
Yeah, well, I had the Dockers finishing on top of the ladder.
Yeah.
And I'm not gloating. I just thought, looking at their list profile, their maturity, the way that they're built up, but also fixturing. Fixturing does matter. As you know better than most, they've also got the additional game in Western Australia, of course, with North Melbourne selling a game. I think now it's 3 games in a row that they've got in WA. So
which I think is fair.
It matters.
But it matters, and it's fair because it means they get a month of staying in their own beds. They travel 11 times now. I don't know if Adelaide's such a big go, but it's a big go coming to Melbourne into the East Coast. They've got to play the teams over here, but it's that makes it makes itself work out eventually with everybody doing these things. But I just think they've been coached very well. They're playing good footy, and they've got the balance right.
Yeah, the balance is the key.
They've got everything right.
Yeah, and balance is the key word there. They've copped their knockers over the previous 18 months about their speed of ball movement, not getting too dartery. Yeah, they were a bit slow and it cost them, but now I think they've got the maturity, so they can win it, with ruck and clearance, in key moments of the game, or Wharfie time. So they can win it from stoppage and clearance. They can win it with a bit of speed. But what was really noticeable, particularly against Brisbane at the Gabba, they can win it with what the game presents. And by that I mean, if the opposition does this, we can do this. If the opposition does this, we can do this. Whereas a lot of sides are, well, we'll just keep backing what we do and hopefully we can overwhelm them. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. So they've got a fair bit of maturity about them, the Dockers.
It really stuck out to me. I was watching the post-match on the television one night and actually saw Mason Cox first. He didn't have a 6-pack, he had a 12-pack. He was in ripping nick, and I caught up with him when I was in Perth recently. I said, geez, you're looking fit. And he did. And when he sat down, we were having breakfast, and he just had that fitness look, that when the tight jaw, and I said, gee, you're looking great. He said, yeah. He was very complimentary of their training. But also that night, I remember seeing a lot of the players walking around, and you could just tell they were in absolute ripping nick. So they have trained well. Now, whether that's been, I have to find this out, over a couple of years, and it's manifested itself. But I looked at Mason at 35, or is he 35 or 33?
Yeah, he's
33. Anyway, in his 30s, looking demonstratively different to when he was at Collingwood. And he was fit at Collingwood, but he looked really fit. And I just thought in recent times, looking across the board at the Fremantle Dockers, they've got no Mr. Puniverses. They're all well built. They've got the right amount of years into the legs of pre-seasons. You really need 4 or 5 pre-seasons before you can, really become what you need to be. And they're doing it well.
Yep, a bit of luck on their side. Of course, injuries are always a factor, but where they are at the moment, you can't fault them. And you think about back to their first game against Geelong, which they lost, before they went on this winning. They had it on their bat as well. But the Lions...
I want to ask you, Lions' third straight loss. Cats at home by 41, GWS by 78, and Freo in at the Gabatoir by 25, and doing it easily, I thought.
Yeah. The third quarter's been a big issue, so they've conceded 26 goals in the last 3 third quarters. Does that make sense how I put it up? So the last 3 matches they played, the third quarters, and then you even add in Carlton, played a pretty good third quarter against them, but they managed to hang on. Look, there's a number of factors, and these are not excuses, but they're reasons. They've had quite a number of players with interrupted pre-seasons, and they've played opening round as well, so that shortens, and then you come off the back of the grand final. The last 2 years is...
Off the back of 3 grand finals.
Yeah, but you add into the extended years that we got. So a lot of footy, interrupted pre-seasons. There's some form issues as well. We've got to acknowledge that. There's some intensity issues, and I guess what is showing out a bit at the moment is in their back line in particular is being exposed because of a lack of pressure on the ball. So that's mids not running both ways.
Dermot Brereton has been red hot on that. He said it on Footy Classified last Tuesday, but he's red hot on the Ashcroft boys, who he thinks are brilliant players, and a few others in that midfield, McCluggage, etc. And he said he'd love to get the GPS running forward and running back. He said, I think that the one running forward's going all right, and the one running back, not so.
Yeah, so it's not panic stations.
No.
But there are some concerns because there's, even when you look at some of the behind the goals footage of stuff that you go, Fags go, well, we didn't do that the previous 6 or 7 years. Why are we deciding to do it now? Okay. So just finishing off the work, a bit of intensity stuff. But if you probably thought they would have got up to play Freo. Do you know what game that might spark them is we've got another pineapple grapple coming up, 5:15 Saturday against Gold Coast.
I agree with everything you said there, including don't write them off by a long shot.
No.
I must admit, I thought in doing my tips last week, and maybe I overthink these things at times, but I felt that Neil Danaher's passing had a profound impact on Chris Fagan. And I don't care who you are. It doesn't matter who you are. It takes it out of you. Now, that's not to say he didn't coach well or anything else, but I just felt that last week, a lot of people who have been close to Neil, even though we knew it was all coming, the finality of it all really took people. So people are only human.
Yep.
And sometimes, there's a build-up of these things. You said there was injuries. There was also a fair bit of collateral damage going on off the ground in the pre-season. It catches up with you sooner or later, and you'd rather be catching up with you in May than in September. So they've got time now to get to the bye, reload, get themselves right, and go again.
Yep.
So I think their back half will be a lot better than what they've put up so far. Carlton.
3-0, Josh Fraser.
I hate to say this. I actually texted him. I said, don't make me start to like Carlton, only because it's righties there and Josh is there, the two Collingwood Premiership player in 1990, and Josh, who was such an integral part of the 2010 group, and all that period when for the first 12 years of my presidency, he was my first pick.
Yep.
When I was the president, Josh, and what a star he was for us too.
Yeah, I don't
Great
know.
bloke.
I don't know Josh well. Played
Can I
again.
tell you? He's a ripper.
Yeah, and he's coming across as a ripper, and even
and his dad is just a great bloke. Always in the rooms. I love seeing him.
He was so impressive, or he has been so impressive. Anytime he's had a microphone in front of him, he's clear. He answers the questions. This is what the plan is, but. No, you can't be any more impressed with Carlton. And do you know what? Even though they beat my Cats on Friday night and I was at the game for 3AW, the MCG was heaving.
Yeah, it was great.
And this might sound strange from a Cats person, but when Patrick Cripps took that mark...
It was exhilarating, wasn't it?
I was smiling.
Yeah.
Because, obviously he's come under a fair bit of criticism.
We should go back and get who wrote the back page story with the big photo, get rid of Cripps?
I don't know.
A couple of months ago. It was in the Age of the Herald Sun. It was the Herald Sun, I think. But, all this sort of routine. Yeah. He's a champion of a club. He's won 2 Brownlow medals. He's playing with a back injury and he's been freed up and suddenly he's running atop the ground, as they say.
The MCG was heaving.
Yeah.
And the MCG, when it's heaving,
there's
is unbelievable.
And as an MCG trustee, can I just say, with Essendon and Richmond being useless and the Pies sort of just going at the minute, but, we'll fill it up as usual, getting Carlton back in is good for business. So we want Carlton to come up. I used to say that to the AFL, when they were continually kicking Carlton. I said, you've got to get Carlton and Essendon. This is going back 15 years, 10 years. Got to get Essendon and Carlton going. It costs you $1 million a week.
So this goes back to, we've spoken on this show and a number of shows, people have sort of floated the question to me, wouldn't be Carlton, wouldn't that be a worry for someone to come in? I'm like, absolutely not.
Carlton?
Okay, that'd be one of the most attractive jobs you can get in sport.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any involvement with...
whoever wanted that job, I hope they made the phone call the day that Vossi got the job, because they were always going to go up. So now it's a really attractive position. I'll tell you what.
You imagine being involved in Carlton if they're rollicking towards a finals campaign. Not just saying this year, but like say in 2 years.
I'll tell you whose name has now got to go onto any list is Josh Fraser.
Yeah.
Down the track.
No, down the track.
No, I'm not saying Carlton.
No.
I'm not one of these people who goes, he's won 3 games, so let's anoint him. 3 games, first time that Carlton debutant coach has since David Parker. And having said that, David Parker had won a premiership.
Jugular.
Well, he'd won a premiership at Hawthorn before that. But so it's great, and they could win possibly 3 of their next 4, 4 of the next 4.
Yep.
What happens if they come out and massacre Essendon this week, as they should?
What do you mean? What happens?
It's for the Carlton fans. That's the start of the. Do you know the song "Coward of the County" that Kenny Rogers sang?
No.
Oh, you got to. Oh, it's very you, I reckon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Did you call me a coward?
no, because he wasn't.
Because then you'll see a different side of me.
He wasn't a coward. That's the point.
Oh,
And
good.
that's the reaction. He turned. You could hear a pin drop when he turned and locked the door.
Yeah.
Because he came back for the Gatlin boys. Right. I reckon that there's a bit of that going on with Carlton. They've got long memories and they want to belt Essendon. They want to get stuck into Richmond. They want to get into Collingwood. All the usuals. And it's going to be interesting on the way home, I think. But they, for Carlton, they've had 3 good weeks. They should come out this week and towel up the Bombers.
Yeah. So
to show that they're serious.
Do we want to talk about the Bombers week? We haven't spoken much since a person you and I both work with. We don't work together with him, but we work on all these other shows, of course, Footy Furnace and Footy Classified.
Yep.
I thought it was magnificent telly. I'm not pumping your tyres up here, Ed.
Oh, feel free to.
Hey, it was magnificent telly. Well done, Ed. There's actually been this debate going on of why would James Hird come out and say what he did. People haven't noticed he's on Footy Classified every Tuesday night.
Yeah.
And it was always going to be the biggest question. And I'm not lobbying here for James Hird. I'm just talking about the conversation you guys had. I think he articulated it in a way that, yes, I'm passionate Essendon man. I'd love to coach Essendon and I'll go through the process. Have I missed something why people...
I always love this. Somebody tells the truth and is actually honest. And then there's all these ramifications. Some of the carry-on and the Sunday Footy Show yesterday had a really good and mediocre. They clipped up the cliched approach of all these commentators that we've got who said the spectre of James Hird hanging over. And it was just about across the board. One of the biggest issues that happened in my mind with the Essendon supplement saga, excuse me, was there was also a war declared between the Age and the Herald Sun. Let me just take a drink. A war between the Age and the Herald Sun was declared. And from that moment on, it didn't matter what anyone did. Any particular issue that came up was vehemently defended by one and attacked by the other. So even before Hirdy got to sit down on our show, you had agenda setters, Caroline Wilson and Kane Corns, just going berserk about James Hird. No one is actually analysing what the job is that needs to be done. So to me, I think coach of the club is far bigger than coach of the team at the moment at Essendon. So when we had our production meeting on Tuesday, and I said to James, well, obviously you're going to be sitting next to me. I'm going to ask you some questions about this tonight. Yeah. And he said to me, and I'm prepared to answer them. I said, good, okay. And then we went away and had a bit of a chat because I said, I'm going to ask you about, I'm going to ask you about the lot. We need to do that, and you need to tell us why you're going to step forward because these are the things that are going to happen. So it's not as if no one could predict what was going to happen in that situation. However, the Bombers have yet to come out and even say their process, they haven't even got to the start of their process.
No.
Now, I can confirm some of the stories that have been circulated that the Essendon president at the moment is not a voter for James Hird. So
you can confirm that?
No, I can confirm that.
What he's declared he's...
No, he hasn't declared anything. I just know.
That's a pretty big statement, Ed. Like people will listen to that and go, well, hang on. That's a pretty definitive...
Well, I only say things when they're right.
No, I'm not questioning... No. But I'm just...
But what I'm saying is this. There's been Lloydie strongly intimated it. Caroline Wilson strongly intimated it. And I'll just say, at the moment, James Hird hasn't got the job. Okay? So
we don't even know if he's been invited into the process yet.
I can tell you right now, all these people, including Adam Simpson and Ken Hinkley and...
John Longmire.
I don't know if Longmire jumped in, but Montgomery, even today.
I did see those comments.
All those things. It's not a fait accompli by any stretch. Now, James, in saying so, has galvanised a lot of people and alienated a lot of people. Michael Long came in support. Kevin Sheedy's a supporter. Is he the right person to bring back? A year ago, I would have said, no, don't do it. Now I believe he has got himself right again. I think that 18 months he's been on our show have been fantastic for him. First time he was on our show, he almost looked like he hadn't slept for 3 days. He was so the tension and just the build up to being on the show, coming back into polite society, if you like, was absolutely manifest on his face. Got through. By week 3, he's starting to relax again. Now he's the old James Hird.
Yep.
He's got himself right. Anyone who says he's not working in football has got no idea, because he is. He's working deeply in an area in football that Essendon needs more than oxygen, and that is game development. And so he's putting together a really good CV. Whether I'm not barracking for him, this is the case. I think at the moment that John Longmire's the favourite for that job, and that's a guess. I don't have any mail on that, but just reading the play, the only bloke who didn't jump in and carry on is John Longmire. Now, call me old-fashioned, but anyone who's in business who knows what they're doing, you don't sack the coach unless you're a fair way down the track with knowing where you go. You can have all the processes in the world, but you need to know what you're doing, and you need to know where the cards are falling. Now, James has probably thrown a rock into the pool. Would Essendon like to have James Hird back at the club? Would the president want to have James Hird back at the club? I think the answer is a resounding yes. As coach, there's a no is the answer at the moment, but possibly is where it's going. Okay, so I think James moved the needle from no to we better have a look and let's see what happens after that. But all this carry on, right, that is exactly what's happening at Essendon.
Can I ask you something which triggered my thinking there? Is you're a person who would have seen appointments of coaches and executives and
Yep.
alike. So sat on panels, been also one-person panel, all that sort of stuff. The reason why I asked it, you touched on a couple of individuals there, their comments around, oh, well, if James Hird's involved, I'm very much paraphrasing.
These are people who are arguing that there's a boat race going on at Essendon because they're not in the boat race.
Yeah, so
and that's the way I do it. If I was Adam Simpson, I'm not critical of any of this, but, if I'm Adam Simpson, I'm not auditioning. You know what I'm about. You might go in. I mean, for example, at Essendon, I'd want to know with John Longmire 2 years ago when he finished at the Swans, he was cooked, absolutely shot to pieces, and really needed a break. Has he got himself right to be that person? And this is not just a job at Essendon, this is a vocation. This is why I think Hirdy's now got a bit of momentum. And I'll go back to, again, my time at Collingwood when we were shot to pieces. There were 3 people in my mind that could coach Collingwood to get us to where we needed to go at that stage. Dennis Pagan, who just won the flag, Kevin Sheedy, who was just about to win the flag, and Mick Malthouse,
who'd won flags,
who was my number 1 pick, who was finishing up in Perth. You could tell. My mail as a journo was that West Coast were into Ken Judge at that stage. Mick also needed to come back because his sister-in-law was ill at that stage, Nanette's sister. And everything, that to me was the one, okay, that's the one. And he was my number 1 pick as well. Now, I knew the 3 of them. I knew the other 2 weren't going to go. But Mick just, to me, seemed to be the right guy. It helped that he barracked for Collingwood as a kid. He actually understood the essence. And then when we got into conversations, we were in lockstep. And I'll never forget the day that Mick Malthouse walked in and addressed the team for the first time. And my shoulders went, oh, thank God. And he just took the team and away we went. I went and did president stuff. So I just think that there's a lot of carry on in this caper about, how many more times can we get a headhunter in and run a panel and all that? Yeah, they're all great because what you're usually doing is stealing the ideas off all the applicants and going through all that. But I would suggest that you'd want to have a fair idea before you sack your coach where you're going.
Did you sort of make a case then for James Hird because you used the word essence? Like if Mick Malthouse had the essence...
I think that's James Hird's superpower at the moment.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I think James can galvanise the club. Using John Longmire, I think John Longmire's a great coach.
Oh, he's a great coach.
He probably might want to go to Carlton, to be perfectly honest, because I think they're far more advanced. But the thing with John Longmire is that he has been very much in charge of a club that has developed through the academies and the things they get. it's one thing getting to play. You've actually got to turn him into an AFL player, and he's been excellent at doing that over the years.
So just back to that boat race question, which side of the thinking do you sit? Because obviously doing talkback radio, there's a population of people who think, well, yeah, if it's a boat race, don't go in it. And there's a population of people who say, well, if you're not strong enough in your own convictions to be the best, because a coach, you've got to be the most serious competitor. If you're not willing to compete against someone,
King at Melbourne went in. He wasn't the number one pick. He won the day.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. Like, there'd be people who go, well, if they hear a coach go, I'm not going in it because James Hurd's going, well, are they the right person?
No.
There's other people going, well, that's right. Don't
What the Bombers need right at this moment is that there are moments in time in football clubs where you need somebody who's prepared to die for the club. Okay? Frank Costa was prepared to die for Geelong. Right? He put everything into Geelong. He brought the right people in. He pulled their factions together. They were a rabble, Geelong. Frank Costa got them and pulled them together and then put the right people in place who were able to deliver. But it was Frank Costa's drive and ambition for what he wanted his club to be. I'd like to think when I came in that I put everything on the line. Right? I had protests from people not wanting to call with me, conflict of interest, all the carry on. And don't think after finishing last and second last, at times you didn't think maybe they're right. Maybe I'm just a footy show host. Okay. So you've got to do it. And, you know, I had a young wife. Carla was, when I took over, Carla was 27. You know, so we didn't have any kids or anything. We were just coming through. So you've got to be prepared. It was all or nothing. I got hauled up to Sydney, Kerry Packer. You know, I was his number one guy. What are you doing, son? You know? Oh, you better make it work. Don't blow the footy show up. It's our number one show. So there's a lot of pressure on you. Similarly, you know, I think that there's been a lot of, in the professionalism of our game, I think it's actually become a little bit too beige at times. And I think that there is still a lot to be seen for passion. You spoke about it at Carlton on the weekend. Right? The passion was back. It's a passion game. We sell hope. That's what football's all about. Interesting that Grant Thomas had a similar thought to you about people who aren't prepared to have a go. And actually, Xander McGuire said the same thing right off the bat on Friday Night Football, and that is, if you're not prepared to stand up and take on James Hird, then don't apply. You're not the right person for the job. James Hird's got a fair bit of lead in his saddlebag, right? Let's be honest. Right? Great performance on Tuesday night. Now he's got to take everybody with him. And he's got a fair bit behind him. And, you know, people talk about Paul Little's in his corner. Yeah, he is. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything.
No, it was just they were the two shared thoughts on doing talkback radio.
And I think anybody who thinks that the current president of Essendon Football Club, who's a self-made man, who has sacrificed a fair bit to go in there, that he's just going to roll over.
No chance
in the world. I mean, that is the greatest misnomer of all.
He knows what he's doing, Welshie. He knows what he's doing.
And Andrew Welsh, to me, he's the start of the renaissance of the Bombers because he's in and he's got the mad stare. If you reckon he's going to bring James Hird in because he's it's a popularity contest, yet wouldn't let merit go. The merit decision is the one that tells you what Andrew Welsh is about.
Yeah,
that's the one that I look at and go, oh no, he's fair dinkum.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He's not going to get pushed around. And he's declared that. And I'll give you the tip now. He won't get pushed around for Hurdy. So Hurdy's got the chance. I thought he was unbelievable on Tuesday night. I mean, you sit there next to him, but he's the one who's talking. There's no auto cue. There was no preparation or anything else like that. We're ready to jump on him if he made a blue.
I feel like the winning coach will be part of use the board term, will be part of a ticket. So it'll be
very much so.
You know, John Longmire and who he brings, or James Hird and who he brings, or James Kelly and who he brings. Or, let's grab another coach, Brent Montgomery and who he brings. Just whoever else, insert name.
Well, I just think you've got to have at the moment. If I'm picking the side, it's them. Or if Adam Simpson had been around, I would have thought he'd be a good coach. But you need to have somebody that people believe. Okay. At the moment, the Bombers are 3 years away from winning the toss. Right? They are. They're cooked. Right? But they've got to build them up. They've got to come in with not just James Hird, but he has to have a really good panel, and it has to be. And he's already said it. His mantra, even before he put his hand up, has always been about developing the players. he has got an uncanny ability of connecting people up. He's one of the most charismatic people, and then he had a huge fall. It nearly took his life. So when he has got himself back, he's done great things in his business career. He had family issues, which he's got now. He's back up and going again. This is the right time for him. This is the last time for him probably to have a go, because he doesn't want to coach anyone else.
No.
That's the other thing. He wants to be the Essendon coach. So that's up for the Bombers to make the decision, but I reckon that's the way I read the play right at this moment.
Damn exciting project, the Bombers.
Yeah.
Just like Carlton, and even Tassie, but damn exciting.
You want big clubs are the one where you want to be.
No, I think they're all exciting for different reasons.
Yeah, they are. That's your thoughts.
All right.
Big clubs are where you want to be. No, but I mean, the Bombers, they're a great club, and they have been a great club. Okay, so their history is full of amazing scenarios. And as he asked me the other night, in 2000, who did I look at? I looked at Essendon. They were going. Now, they got caught up in drinking their own bathwater.
Oh, Dennis. Bit of Dennis Pagan.
Yeah. And they did, and that's what cooked them. And not just in the drugs, long before that. And anyway, they've got a new president who's going to make some big decisions, but all this other stuff that's been going on, I can tell you, is complete nonsense.
Pretty strong.
Take that to the bank.
Do we want to change our tack?
Yeah.
Can I play something from Jared Waitley? Because we did touch on the arc. So let's just play Jared Waitley, obviously a very powerful voice in the AFL media. This is regarding the arc.
This is the whole misnomer with technology in sport. It's the false prophecy. And I don't know how many times we have to see it. It simply doesn't work in the manner that people, this is how it'll work. We'll correct the howler. And the howler comes along and it couldn't be corrected. And the human error at play here is borderline unforgivable. The goal umpire who stumbles and falls over, the field umpire who's right there, who doesn't just offer a moment of counsel, say, hey, you fell over. Why don't we just check what had happened here? Because you couldn't have had a clear view of it. So at every layer, it's catastrophic failure. So if you put the chains on the doors today and switch the power off, it could stand there as a relic, the arc. It could stand there as a cautionary tale, as football's version of Chernobyl.
Referencing Chernobyl's a bit steep, but how do you feel when your baby, the arc, is...
That's not my baby, because we just put the cameras in, right?
Yeah,
not the cameras. No, we put the technology.
Yeah, you'll know it. You built the arc.
The technology. Yeah, I did. I built the arc. But what happens is that there is technology that the AFL are in charge of. They're called the cameras. I said this on the Footy Show, and I reckon it was about 1998. Might have even been earlier, where Ron Evans was the chairman of the AFL, whenever Ron Evans was the chairman. It might have been after 2000. But he also owned Ted's Camera Store. And I said, please, go get a couple of cameras from Ted's Camera Store and just set them up so that you could get the behind the play king hits that were going on in those days. The analogy is, in racing, you have the coverage that we put into air on Melbourne Cup Day on Channel 9, shooting back to the stand, tracking shots, helicopter shots, or these days drone shots, all these different things. Mics on the jockeys, because it's theatre. It's an event. Okay, you shoot things completely differently, right? So if I'm shooting a movie and I'm throwing a punch at you, go on, move on the punch, bang. Oh, there you go. In the right angle, it looks like I hit you. I'm sitting, a metre and a half apart. They've got to get the cameras in the right spot. But here's the point. Everyone has to go at the arc. I sat at home and watched in real time and said it's a goal. People at the game said it's a goal. David Roden, who we all love, so no one really wanted to go hard. If he had been umpire Smith, they would have kicked his head off. But they didn't, because everyone's mates with David Roden. We all love him, and we don't want him getting disqualified from a grand final and all the rest of it. But he was interviewed by John Anderson a couple of weeks ago, and he said how he likes to make the call. So he sort of made that his brand. He fell over. Now, I agree with what Jared's saying there, in that he fell over. The two boundary umpires didn't do anything, right? and you had a field umpire who was there, and you got 3 other field umpires who needed to just come in the first minute of a game and go, hang on a second, let's just have a look. Let's just check it. I also believe that there's been the Marshall decision to change at round 7.
Yeah, the Rowan Marshall
Decision was the greatest knee-jerk reaction of all time. Yeah, it was no good, and also happened once. All right? Now we're getting these things. The whole idea was it was brought in to stop these decisions. Now, let's have a fight over this. But if you had your second goal umpire there, we wouldn't be having half these decisions and issues. It's one minor change.
So technology or the people operating the technology?
Well, I'll go back again. The week before, I'm sitting at home. Xander was on the bench on Channel 7 on a Friday night, Essendon game, and I see Andy McGuire get absolutely poleaxed, right? And I go, what are they doing? Get him off. Okay. A couple of minutes later, he goes in, wide open, gets his jaw smashed, teeth knocked out, horrific. The other Essendon bloke who got cleaned up by...
Durham got cleaned up early.
In a centre bounce. You looked at him, he's down, he's in Disneyland.
He missed his hand twice after that handball.
He's in Disneyland. All right, he comes off. Now, this is not 2020, right? Because I sat next to the chairman of the AFL at the Collingwood Scott Pendlebury match.
Mr. Drummond.
So Craig Drummond sitting next to me, and he asked me a couple of questions, and I think he might have... I think I stopped just in time to go in at half time. But one of them was... and this is it's not disparaging the people who are looking at the ARC, but clearly they've made the wrong decision over a number of weeks, and so you do have to look at them. I said to him, why did you go and get Dr. Peter Larkins to sit in there? I said, and he sort of looked at me and said, well, I won't go into the quote for quote because it was a private conversation, but my point was this. When I was on the beat reporter, they used to train at 5 o'clock, the teams, right? I'd stand in the race so that anyone coming off had to basically walk over the top of me with my cameraman so I could see who was doing what. And you can tell after a while, you can watch somebody go, got an ankle, got a calf. Pete Larkins is the best at doing this, right? And has done for 30 years. He's been a club doctor, 2 different clubs, Geelong and Adelaide for a while. But I put him on the boundary line as the appointment next to Tony Jones because I was sick of, the carry-on that the boundary riders used to have and didn't know what was going on. And if somebody got hit, I didn't see it and all that routine. Neil Curley, one of my great friends, if Adelaide Crows whack someone, I was looking up at the scoreboard, and that's good. That was the theatre of the day. But we wanted to be more professional. So Pete Larkins, when I had him on Triple M when we first started, first game we had, Wayne Carey's shoulder was the biggest story. It jumped. Pete jumped the fence and helped put it in the rooms. So pretty good reporter. He actually could tell me exactly what was going on because he actually put the shoulder in. My point is, Pete Larkins still gets phone calls from all the guys sitting on the bench to ask what they're doing. Xander does it all the time. Why? Because he knows what he's talking about.
Yep.
If there's one expert witness we have to have in there, it's that. And then you might get somebody who actually knows, looks at it and goes, of course that's hit him in the thing. Quickly rewind it back. Or just go, hold for a moment. Rewind it back, push. It would take... But they wouldn't have even fished the ball out from under the fence on this issue.
Yeah, I still exchange texts with Dr. Smooth, Pete Larkins, and 2 former AFL club doctors. And I reckon when I'm watching the football and I go, somebody's gone down, I reckon in the space of 2 minutes, I've got a message from one of the 3 going, just hypothetically, he's gone up like this, he's collapsed on the inside, that's an MCL. By the looks of it,
it's a scissor motion. Yeah.
It's going to be
Don't talk about Oscar Steen when he did his knee?
Yeah.
Bang.
It was there. A physiotherapist who I work for, he's got two of them who have both got AFL experience and then both worked at AFL clubs as physiotherapists. They go, that club's talking shit.
Yep.
The 2 weeks, it's 6 weeks.
It's 6.
There's no chance.
You know it all the time.
They've been right every time.
But not only that, McGuire comes off and you can see them, there was a shot of him getting tested and he spat out blood. I said to Carl, sitting on the bench, I said he had his teeth knocked out. You can tell the blood from a broken jaw. You get some, but generally comes out your ear. Mind you, we had one of them during the year, and no one went out and got him off the ground either. But you could tell McGuire had a broken jaw but you also knew he had his teeth knocked out. Now, Brad Scott in his press conference later that night said, it was really bad, yeah, and he had his teeth knocked out. You could tell. So it's like anything in life, mate. You can give somebody a job and they can try their hardest and you get to a level. Or you give somebody who knows what the hell they're doing and guess what? It gets solved. But the AFL, they've got to be careful. Last week, again, I'm talking about Xander's stories all the time, but Xander did the story about the extra rotation.
Oh, the Hawthorn-Collingwood game.
Hawthorn-Collingwood. So he cops it everywhere because, of course he's Eddie's son and working for Collingwood. No, he can count. That's all you need to do in that situation. Count for 1 to 75, not 76. Now, I don't think there should have been anything come back on Hawthorn because they were told officially that was the case. But what I didn't like last week was the cover-up and the dismissiveness of it. So if the AFL Football Administration are now copying mistakes as being part of it, as opposed to, that's another one we need to check. Why don't we make sure we check every quarter that it matches up? You got these people there, or have a tag and put it on the hook as you come on and off. When it gets to 75, no more can go on. That would make sense to me. But don't have the rules if you're not going to have them, if you're not going to administer them. And certainly with they'll have to change. They need to change it again. Because if that happens, everyone always says it happens in a grand final. It happens in grand finals. It happens in grand finals. We've seen grand finals lost because of it. Okay, so I don't know how many more times they're going to do this. I really don't. What happens when Geelong miss the top 4 by percentage?
Yep. Well, a draw, 2 points and
whatever. But you got the opportunity to get it right. Get it right. And you know what the other thing is? The more they hide away from things, the more we go, hang on, what's going on? As opposed to just come out and say, right, yeah, there was a mistake. On the balance of what we saw, it didn't impact the game, but we're going to do this and fix it up. Maybe goes, yeah, fair enough. But it's when people start to play shell games, because that's what I look at. It's Richard Nixon. Right? And Darren Hinch used to say this all the time. It's not the crime necessarily, it's the cover-up that gets you. And if the AFL knew that there was a mistake and then went all the way through, even to the point where they wouldn't do an interview, except with the AFL.com, which is, the equivalent of Pravda in Soviet Russia, then that's when you start to look. And if serious people start to have a look,
I'm starting to get a sense of what that conversation was like in the first half with you and Craig Drummond.
Yeah, well, it's a fair indication of it. Yeah. But that's where it is. But, so what I want the AFL to do now is get to the bye and recalibrate and come out and tell us what the second half of the season is going to look like. Don't worry about all the carry-on. Cop the heat if that's what you need to cop. But we need Greg Swan to come out again and go, righto. Because I think they've done some really good things this year.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
I think the rules have been largely successful. They've eased up on the 50 now for encroaching. Yeah. So clearly they're doing it only if you encroach and it, mitigates against somebody being able to play on. Fair enough, tick. But there's some basic things you got to get.
Yeah, they've even relaxed how quick they've been calling holding the ball. Yep. The one though that's crept in, it's still a bugbear of mine, is paying free kicks just because something looks bad.
Yeah.
So I saw one last night, Essendon versus West Coast, or West Coast versus Essendon. It was a body spoil. So there was nothing illegal, didn't chop the arms or anything, but just because two bodies colliding, the umpire thought, well, hang on, someone's gone down in that contest, has to be a free kick. And as well, you're allowed to pressure the kicker.
Yeah.
If you're running along and you're deciding to hold and hold and hold and hold and hold on to it, and you're kicking the ball, and I might be wrong, and I'm highly likely wrong, but I missed where you weren't allowed to pressure the kicker.
Because you haven't missed it. because it didn't change.
I must have missed it.
No.
And I'm happy to be
I think
wrong.
that was when we turned it into everybody gets a lick of the ice cream, as everyone says these days.
Jeez, I like ice cream.
You know, but the point being is that sometimes the person who gets knocked down, it's their fault. So it starts now with somebody goes down and holds it. Oh, we've got to give them a free kick. When in fact half the time they're acting, and sometimes it's their bad luck. But there's sometimes luck comes into it. There's incidental contact rather. Anyway, all right.
As KB would say, it's a unique game. It's a quirky game.
Let's get to the Bartel Medal. Okay. Jamal.
He's back.
Oh,
Jamal is very much an Ed McGuire listen.
Is he?
Because he wasn't here last week, and you weren't here last week.
Clearly, he's just gone, no, I'm not listening to that.
So we actually have...
That's why you get the big money to buy the house.
We've actually gone to the AFL integrity department.
Yeah.
And we're seeking to see if Jamal is actually Ed McGuire.
It's actually me.
Because he does vote for Nick Dacos a lot.
He does, yeah. Well, he's a good judge.
3 votes from Jamal, Isaac Heaney, 2 votes Nick Dacos, 1 vote Bailey Smith.
Okay, Bartel Medal votes.
Yeah, Kerno kicked 8. Sicily, McKenzie. Cam McKenzie's best game for the Hawks, I think. Max Hall, what a star he is. Bailey
You like
Smith.
him, don't you?
I really like Max Hall as a footballer. Actually, as we say, waste the boss's time, not your own time. Go have a look at Max Hall's path to AFL. It's actually a pretty cool one.
Yep.
Jordan Clark is very good across the halfback flank. Pendles broke the AFL games record hold again this week, and he'll break it again next week.
Just wear a gold number all the time.
Yeah. Artie Jones, he's good fun.
Artie's a ripper.
He's good
because he lives with Cody Waitman. So
that'll be some interesting conversations.
Oh,
Those
yeah,
two small forwards in one room.
Exactly. And Artie's been a ripper, and it's great to see him now getting his chance. And he's mates with my blokes, and he's a beauty, Artie.
He's good fun to watch. Lockie Ash. The next 2 gentlemen are part of the 2 votes because combined they kicked 9 goals out of the full forward position. Talking about Gunston and Hardwick.
Yep.
The Chad, Warner, Sammy Walsh, Jez Cameron, Josh Tracy. I love watching Josh Tracy as a footballer. Jai Amiss and Voss. So the 3 big boppers for Freo. Jordan.
So the 3 forwards you gave 2 votes to
each. I thought they were so good.
That sums it up, doesn't it?
Jordan Ngoe had 19 score involvements in his 30 touches. Nick Dacos 2. Connor Iden is a magnificent footballer.
Yep.
Harley Reid just absolutely bullied the Bombers, and Dersma from the Eagles. 3 voters.
Tersma's a good player.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, him and Harley Reid, they're just two. They're in this very studio doing players the other week. Geez, they're good blokes.
You can tell those two are like, hey, you and me.
Yeah, here we go.
We're going.
We can make a big quid over here,
and we can
Perth, and we can have a lot of fun.
Freo are rocking, as they say. Yeah. If those two, they're still. I mean this in a very polite way. They're still boys.
Yeah.
Can you imagine them at 25 over there West Coast? Yeah. Finn Callan, how's this for a first half? I remember this off the top of my head. 17 touches at 100%, 550 metres gained, 5 inside forward 50s, and a goal in the first half alone.
Yep.
It's 3. Paddy Cripps gets 3. Ed Richards.
Yep.
Ruben Jinby. So often we have a defender.
It's horrible watching Ed Richards when he beats us with his family connection to the club.
It's so good.
Ugh.
Ruben Jinby, undersized key back. He's been magnificent. And Isaac Heaney, you can't fault his game. So we've got a leaderboard here.
Yeah.
Bailey Smith on 12, Cozzy on 13, Nick Dacos on 22, and Marcus Bontempelli on 23.
I look back now and I go, geez, have we been a bit hard on Heaney? Because he's probably
I reckon
should be in our league.
I reckon our silly little man will have him on about 11 or 12 votes. Right. Yeah, so
that's enough.
Yeah, so he's snapping away.
He's right there. Right, okay. Catch you on Wednesday. This has been Eddie and Jimmy at Tapped Media, taptmedia.com.au. Send your questions to us. Follow us on Instagram and anywhere else that you can follow us. And good on you. I think there's a bit there to be clipped up today. All right.
Enjoy.
Thanks, mate.